So, today we're going to be learning some pasta. We're going to be building out a gnocchi and a rolled pasta dough. These are really easy to make because they only have a couple of ingredients in them, and knowing the ratios that you make these with make it so that you're never without a recipe for gnocchi. All right, the mise en place couldn't be simpler for any of these things. A lot of standard stuff you typically find over on pastry side because this is dough after all, just for a savory application. All right, out in front of me, you guys will see a basic French pin, pastry wheel. We're going to be using a cooling rack to separate the potato from the flesh today. I'm going to be using a roller to get my raviolis or tortellinis shaped, a 1 cup measure, and a bench knife. All right, very simple. First thing we're going to start off with is our gnocchis. All right, behind me on the board, you guys will see some ratios. Learn them, memorize them, commit them to memory because they're short and easy to remember. Gnocchis are made for every 1 pound of potato that you get, you need 1.5 cups of flour. That's it. All right. Rolled pasta, for every 100 grams of flour you use, you need 1 egg. Never changes. Okay? Once you know those 2 recipes, the salt is going to be provided as you cook these pastas. And we all know we make pasta dough. We make pasta with very salty water. Salty as the ocean. So there's no need to salt a dough like this because you're just putting salt on salt on salt. It's going to get there once it hits the water anyways. Right. In order to prepare my potatoes, I want to salt roast my potatoes. I took these potatoes out first thing this morning. Right, these just got a little bit of oil all over the tops of them. I put them in a 500-degree oven, and right before they went in there, I completely covered the top skins in salt. All right, this is going to draw out the moisture and make a really dry inside of this potato, literally as dry as we can. The drier the potato, the more soft our dough is going to be. Okay, cracking this open is a little hack I'll show you on a cooling rack. I got a couple of these quarter pan cooling racks on the top. You can use any size that is suitable for the size job you're using. All right. So all we're gonna do here is just take a bench knife, make a slit. You're gonna turn this flesh side down so you're holding the skins, right? And you're just going to press against this mat and all the potatoes are gonna fall out the bottom. Really simple, all right? Save your skins. Make sure none of this sort of paperiness gets through there. Everything that comes out should be tender. I'm gonna look for about 1 pound of potato. These should be warm when you use them. If you use them when they're cold, they get really gluey and hard to put together. All right, tear your scale with a bowl in it. You're gonna be mixing your gnocchis in there, and we're gonna measure out 1 pound of potato. Once I've got my potato fully separated out, we're just gonna mix in our flour, really simply. All right, first thing we're gonna do is add 1.5 cups of flour to our potatoes. Sometimes, depending on the potato you choose, you may need more flour or even less. So be a little stingy at first, work it in your hands and feel how it looks. If it seems really wet, just add flour, right? There's no crisis in adding a little bit of extra into here. All right, I'm just gonna toss these around gently until all my potatoes are really coated and until all the powderiness of my flour starts to go away. We're essentially gonna be mashing the potato by kneading it here. All right, so once this is coated and I can see that everything's looking pretty together, I'm gonna start to literally crush this in my fingers until I can form a really basic shaggy dough in my bowl. I can feel that my potatoes are a little wet, so I'm going to be adding a little bit of flour to my surface for when I work the dough itself. And you get a vacation. Soon you will be potatoes. All right, work your gnocchi dough, both mashing your potato and developing a little bit of the gluten in your starch. All right. Once we got a dough starting to form in our hands, the idea here is I want to work it, but I don't want it to be too sticky. All right, so I'm probably adding almost 1/4 cup of flour onto my dough here. So I want this to be soft and pliable, but not sticky to the touch. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to work. All right, once my dough is starting to form, I should have a nice smooth ball. Pick up all my extra pieces. All right, and we're just going to let this rest. When it rests, it's going to hydrate a little bit extra, meaning it's going to, all the flour that's in here is going to start to swell up with the liquids that are inside. And I'm going to want to let that rest for just a moment while those things too kind of even out a little bit so I can get a good feel for its final stickiness in a moment. So the gnocchi's been relaxed and you can see that now it doesn't really spring back when I'm handling it. This is good. This means it's nice and tender and ready to go. All right, starting with my gnocchi at the top of my bench and a nicely floured surface, I'm going to form a rectangle. That rectangle is going to be what I'm prepping from. I'm going to get the snakes that I'm rolling. Think about when you portion bread dough. You'll do the exact same thing. cut yourself a little snake off the bottom. There's an open side. That's gonna be the stickiest side. Put that flour side down, right? And then you're gonna start to roll. Just with the weight of your fingers, you're gonna get this about the width of your thumb. All the way out. You should be pillowy and soft. All right, once we form that beautiful little snake, is camera getting all that there, Tegan? Can I see? Okay, great. Once you form the snake, we'll cut our dumplings from here. Now there's a couple of shapes we can use with the dumplings, right? There's obviously the very basic dowel shape where we're gonna press down and through, and we're just gonna cut ourselves some gnocchis. I like to put my index finger as a little guide, just so I know how deep I'm cutting these. All right, now that's a dumpling shape. Let's learn one more, just before we split off. Extra flour, because if this gets sticky, it gets very difficult to work with. About 1.5 inches thick. Open side down onto that flour so you're not fighting the moisture. Form your snake. Don't forget, these are gonna swell up because they're dumplings. They're gonna be twice the size you cut them. So if you cut them big, they're gonna get big. All right, so try to keep them around bite size. So we'll cut our dumplings, same as. Then we're actually gonna use that roasting rack, right, that we pressed. You can do a couple where you just set it into the palm of your hand, literally make an indent with your finger, and then when those boil up, that's a nice little pocket for your sauce to live in. Right, you can also just take a rack or a fork if you're working at home, right, and you can just take your thumb and just press your gnocchi against it, and you wind up with these fun little shapes pressed up against your dough, just like that. Right, so you can make a couple of those, press them through, just rolling your thumb over whatever structured surface you want. You can get these really cool little dumpling shapes. These are awesome. The idea here is just making little pockets for all the delicious sauce you're gonna roll them around in to cook up. They'll hold those shapes great. For these ones, be a little bit more delicate with them while you get them onto your half sheet pan. Get them texture side up so they don't wind up all flat and gross after you've made them nicey nice. Okay? So today, I would like you guys to make a 1 pound batch of our gnocchis. All right, I've got your potatoes here back and prepped. You work in teams of 2 so that we have plenty of gnocchis for our special. Once you guys have a